Hello again everybody, this is X with DankMTG, here to share another legacy deck tech. This time we're covering mono green Cloudpost, but thanks to not including a one of Tabernacles, we dropped the price of this deck to only a quarter of its original price. That makes this deck budget, and with the money you save, you can make lots of different decks, not just in Legacy, but other formats as well. Or you can have a good down payment for a car. Even by cutting our Tabernacle, we still have a powerful deck that wins. The list you'll see here has actually had a lot of success and even got a top 8. If you're new to Legacy or haven't heard of the deck Mono Green Cloudpost before, don't worry, we know we don't play Tabernacle, but what are we doing to win the game? Our goal is to ramp with our Post or Locust lands. These lands are based off the land Cloudpost from Mirrodin. If you're used to playing Modern, you may be familiar with the game plan of Tron. Well, this is very similar, but you can say it's a Legacy version. We ramp with our land's abilities. The more Locust lands we have, the more mana Cloudpost can make. For example, if we have 2 Cloudposts in play, we can tap both for 4 mana. 3 Cloudposts turns into 9 mana and so on. The scaling on this deck is insane. 4 Cloudposts are nice, but isn't enough. We also play 4 Glimmerposts, which doesn't ramp on its own, but will off Cloudpost. The life we gain really helps to cushion damage and can give us a few extra turns out of it. We do play 2 Vesuvas. These are mostly to target our Locust lands. As we go throughout deck, you'll see a lot of value out of this card. We are a textbook example of a big mana deck. Let's get started with our lands. We already went through the core lands of our deck. Being in mono green, we do have some green mana fixing. Thanks to Modern Horizons 2, yeah, something good and not broken is Yavimaya. Believe it or not, we don't rely on this card, as tapping a Cloudpost for 1 green is not what we want to be doing. This does add a lot more value to all our other lands that do not tap for green or any mana at all. One cool interaction you can do is if you need double green and have this on the battlefield and Vesuva in hand. If you play Vesuva and not choose to copy anything, Yavimaya would turn this into a forest and you'll be able to tap it right away. That may sound obscure, but knowing all the little plays make a good player into a great player. If you think a land is bad or doesn't fit the deck, remember, with Yavimaya out, it works with that. We have a very recent addition to the deck, Boseiju. The only bad thing to say about this card is it wasn't available before Neon Dynasty. So much options with this card. We can use it to pop any annoying artifacts our opponent may play to disrupt us, like Ensnaring Bridge, and we can move a non-basic troubling us like Rishadan Port, or the most common one, Wasteland. We do play a fetch land to help fight off some annoying lands, and to fetch out our basic if we need. Sometimes a shuffle effect goes a long way, and lands in our graveyard will become helpful, as you'll see later. We do play some basic lands. We have 4 forests. These can be regular or snow covered. We actually take advantage of these being just basic, as it gets around a lot of hateful cards and doesn't punish us for playing them. Our next set of lands do serve more purposes, and you'll see what they are. Some of our best payoffs are Eldrazi's. Because of that, we play 1 Eye of Ugin. This card does work when we need it to, and activating its ability is actually a common play. With Yavimaya out, this may as well read tap for 3 mana when casting Eldrazi's. As this land doesn't contribute to anything other than our Eldrazi's, we do only play 1. We are playing 1 Cavern, as counterspells are a thing, especially in Legacy. We do have a variety of creature types we can name, but most of the time you'll know what to name when the time comes. If you do name a creature and you drop another that isn't the name type, have Vesuva copy Cavern, naming the next creature type. Vesuva is really good as mentioned, but we do play Thespian Sage. Copy another Locust land at the end of our opponent's turn, or even their Wasteland to remove it, are other options to look into. Flexibility on this card is great. Since we have access to Thespian Stage, it'd be criminal not to play Dark Depths, so we play 1. We're not all in on the Depths plan, it's more of a plan C win con, or a sudden way to win if the opportunity presents itself. If you don't know what combo I'm talking about, check out our Rainbow Depths video to learn more about it. We have some more lands, and these are more of our utility lands. This is not a commander deck, but we do have some more singletons to work with. Blast Zone deals with any permanents that we may need to remove. The ability to control the amount of charge counters will come up, as we will have plenty of mana to sink into it. Bojuka Bog is pretty self-explanatory. Being able to destroy a graveyard is pretty good. Things like Reanimator and Ouphe spells. Yes, Vesuva can copy these lands for their enter battlefields. Glacial Chasm is here to provide us a bubble to cushion any damage. Yes, we will have to pay the cumulative upkeep, but paying 2 life is better than the damage our opponent may deal us. The there's a lot more interactions you can do with this card, Thespian stage, and Vesuva. For example, if the cumulative upkeep is just getting too high, you can copy it with Thespian or even Vesuva to restart the cumulative upkeep. Karakas is because we play Legacy. We don't have any white spells to use for, but that's not why Karakas is played. Being able to unsummon any legendary it can target is what we play it for. Another interaction is balancing our own legends that we'll get into later, then recasting them for their enter of battlefields. It is possible to Emrakul lock out our opponents with infinite turns. With all the lands now out of the way, let's see what creatures we're playing. We have a full set of Elvish Reclaimers. This card puts work in, crop rotation on stick, and becomes a threat later. Lots of value in this card. We can single-handedly assemble our lands however we need. For just 2 mana, is your opponent going to combo off with Merit Lage during their turn? That's okay. Just activate this, get Karakas, untap, then bounce it back. If your opponent's going to reanimate something like Gristlebrand or Thassa's Oracle, don't worry, you can get Bojuka Bog and say not today. Endurance is played to interact with graveyards and can be a good blocker. For the most part, this can serve as a Bojuka Bog by pitching a green spell from our hand, which is majority of our deck. Dragon Rage Channers aren't as fast as a clock when they're only 1/1s. Even then, a 3/4 for 3 is nothing to take lightly in Legacy. Delvers and other creatures beware. Our first payoff is a personal favorite of mine, Primeval Titan, a card that's so good it got banned from Commander. A 6/6 trample is a clock, but the ability goes hand in hand with our deck's game plan. Grabbing 2 Cloudposts means we essentially grab 4 mana out of the deck, maybe even more if we already have any other Locust lands on the field. Primeval Titan is a great card, and you may find it hard to believe this isn't even our best payoff. We can scale our mana very rapidly, so let's get the best out of it. We are not just playing Eldrazi's, but the Eldrazi's. A 1 of Kozilek sends 12 damage a turn, and another 4 goes pretty far. The card draw is nice too. Even if this gets countered, we're guaranteed to draw. You'll see that's a common thing for Eldrazi's. They're cast upon abilities. Ulamog with its attack triggers can get you through chump blockers, and taking out our opponent's 2 best permanent is good. If your opponent thinks they're protected by Maze of Ith or Karakas, they can think again. Emrakul. Don't think I need to go too much into how good this card is and how fatal this card can be for our opponent. As I brought up earlier, we can bounce Emrakul back at the end of turn with Karakas, then cast it again, and repeat for infinite turns. We do play some utility creatures, or toolbox creatures, in Ramunap Excavator and Reclamation Sage. When Wasteland is a meta-defining card, Excavator is a pretty good card. Buying back our land and getting any enter the battlefield like Glimmerpost or Bog can also be used to our advantage. We can even buy back Dark Depths combo if our first one got dealt with. Reclamation Sage is here to deal with any problematic artifact or enchantment that may come up. If our opponent is playing 8 cast, we can pop Kappa, as its ward isn't difficult to pay for this deck. Now onto the spells that make up the deck. We don't have too many, but the ones we have only further assure us to play reactively and progress us against any opponent. We have one of the best green spells in the game, Crop Rotation. Remember all the good things I said about Reclaimer? All that transfers to this card besides being a body. Not 1 mana and not having to worry about untapping is even better. We can really make this deck more toolbox to match whatever situation we run into. Along with Crop Rotation, we play the creature version, Green Sun Zenith, another card banned from Modern because it was so good. Normally a ramp with this card is a turn 1 for 1 green to get Dryad, but we can do even better than that. We can grab Primetime as soon as turn 4 with 2 Cloudpost, another Locust land, and 1 green source, or fetch out any of our utility creatures. Once Upon a Time is here to help us dig for whatever we need. We are almost strictly playing creatures and lands, so it's rare that this doesn't get us a card. Being able to cast this for free is amazing, but even hard casting this card is a great play. Our last set of spells include a set of Pithing Needle. Yes, we're all in on our lands, so pithing to stop Wasteland is how far we'll go to protect our lands or any other activated ability that may come along. Expedition Map because tutoring for lands is kind of good if Reclaimer and Crop Rotation haven't shown that. Being able to go directly to hand doesn't have to be a disadvantage, as Boseiju in hand is where we want it to be most of the time. That covers the main deck. Let's see what we have in our sideboard. We have 3 Carpet of Flowers to benefit off any blue deck. This 1 mana enchantment pays for itself and then some. If we get out another one, our opponent will only benefit and enable us to cast our spells faster. We also play Collector Ouphe to stop any artifact based decks or artifact value cards such as 8cast and even the Epic Storm. One good thing about this as well is we can also tutor it from Green Sun Zenith. We do play 1 Warping Wail, or sometimes called Eldrazi Charm, great for picking off 1 power or 1 toughness creatures. Being able to counter a sorcery spell is very useful as it stops a lot of board wipes or ruination, and yes, even stops Days Undoing. Being able to pop out a 1/1 Eldrazi Scion is useful as well if we need to chump block or even use it as pseudo ramp to get us that extra mana to put in our Green Sun Zenith or even fight through a Daze. Moving on with the rest of our sideboard, we do have some more endurances because 2 is good, but sometimes we may need more. A set of Force of Vigors because we are green in Legacy and this does play around Blood Moon. We are playing lots of green card to enable us to cast this for free. To combat those combo based decks, we play a set of Mindbreak Traps as combos are gonna be some of our worst matchups. We are a good deck if we can get past turn 2, but most often past turn 3. For some or more broken decks that pop off turn 1, this is just what we'll need. Legacy doesn't have to be as expensive as a lot of people think it is. This deck costs less than some of the decks you'll see in Modern and still wins. If you want to invest in Magic, this is a great starting place. You can only build up from here. If you decide not to continue with Magic, Legacy decks are proven to retain their value, just as this one will. Even bannings hardly affect Legacy. Even if a card from this deck is banned, it is still playable. Believe me, I'm the person that had Splinter Twin and Bloom Titan build, and in one day, most of that investment got lost. I really do want to say thanks to everyone for watching, especially if you made it through the entire video. I do appreciate it. Let us know what you'd like to see. We really do take your feedback and build off of that. Like, comment, and sub too. It'll only encourage us to go further. That's gonna do it for now. Until next time, you know how we do it here at DankMTG. Stay dank.